Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here that's joined us tonight. Thank you for being here. Folks, we have quite a bit to talk about. The first thing I want to address is earthquakes literally around the world. Earthquakes are a big thing. They can also be very dangerous for those people that live around them. I understand what's going on. I understand your fears. I understand your misgivings about living in earthquake country. A lot of people live in earthquake country. We want to welcome also our mods here. So far, we've got NCWQ Worldwide Explorer here. We've got our dear friend Demon Catman. Thank you also for being here. We appreciate your help here. We appreciate your attendance here. God bless all of our mods and all of the people that visit our program. Anyway, getting back to earthquakes, a lot of people are being very apprehensive. There's reason for apprehension. The agencies are not being honest with telling us about what's going on. They never have been honest. Thiago's asking, what is this live about? It's about earthquakes, and we're also going to talk about political discussion a little bit later. We got hit by a major solar flare just the other day. The solar flare hit the Earth early Sunday morning. Since then, we've had numerous 6.0s and 6.5 earthquakes around the world. Right now, all we have are 5s literally all around the world. We have 5s in southern Mexico. We have 5 off the Central American coast. We have another 5 over in Indonesia. We have earthquakes everywhere. People don't like living in earthquake country, and I can understand that. But there should be, right now at least, some apprehension about living in certain places. I want to start off with Southern California to boot right now. Juanito, welcome here to our program tonight. We appreciate you being here as well. Thiago says, thank God I live in Brazil. There's 0 earthquakes there. I hate to inform you, Thiago, about 2 weeks ago, we had a large 5.0 in Brazil. It was out in the rainforest of Brazil where it did not affect anyone or very few people at all. But even Brazil has had its share of earthquakes. The agencies don't report them. Okay, the United States Geological Survey doesn't report them. The European Agency reports a lot of the earthquakes, but even the European Agency as of late has not been reporting everything. It's a mishmash. Okay, today the USGS is only reporting, I believe, 243 earthquakes. 243 earthquakes worldwide. That is a bunch of hogwash. There are probably about 800 to 900 earthquakes worldwide. And I'm going to expose some of that tonight and let you know where the earthquakes are that you should be wary of. In Southern California, the Imperial Valley of Southern California, which is the southernmost, San Diego and Imperial Valley are the southernmost 2 counties in California. We're still getting a number of earthquakes in the Imperial Valley of Southern California. Today, in northeast San Diego County, there's been a 3.1 magnitude earthquake in Borrego Springs, California, which is northeast San Diego County. Well, this was just a small earthquake. It's still something that we need to watch. Because the last time we had a swarm of earthquakes like we've had lately in the desert area of the Anza Borrego Desert here, We get swarms here all the time. But when we get specific swarms like we've also had 5.0, 5.1 large earthquakes here. And that seems to be what has been going on. Now, along with that 5.1 earthquake, there have been 2 other aftershocks from that earthquake. I want to make sure everybody understands that. Where there are large earthquakes, there are also aftershocks. And those aftershocks sometimes are small, sometimes they're close to being the same size as the actual quake that came before that. Again, a 3.1 earthquake is hit in Borrego Springs, California, which is a desert community northeast of San Diego County. There's also a 0.7 microquake. Okay, microquakes we should not be too concerned about. A 3.1 earthquake has spawned microquakes and also tremors before that. So this is not concerning, but again, the swarms of earthquakes that have been hitting here should be concerning to everybody. Are we going to see a larger earthquake in the Imperial Valley? Probably very soon. But here in the Imperial County, or here in the San Diego northeast part of San Diego County, yes, there is a possibility for a larger quake here. That's been the method of operation for these earthquakes in the past. This particular earthquake is on the San Jacinto Fault. It's a very active fault, and we've had numerous earthquakes on the fault. Lately, there have been a lot of earthquakes, swarms of earthquakes. That's what I'm talking about. When we get swarms of earthquakes here on this fault, look out. Look out. It can be a very dangerous place to be. We've had large earthquakes here in the past that have been felt all the way over to Arizona and into Los Angeles. That tells you what kind of bedrock we have here. The seismic waves go far and beyond what anybody would ever think they would be. Now, those are not the only earthquakes here. There are tremors and microquakes up and down the entire San Jacinto Fault. We also have some microquakes and tremors over in Anza. Anza is part of the Anza-Borrego Desert area. The Anza Gap extends from the San Bernardino Mountains to the north all the way south into San Diego County and Borrego Springs. And that's where this earthquake is hit. We also need to tell you that another earthquake is hit over in Palomar Mountain, near the observatory at Palomar Mountain, California. This is also in North San Diego County. In this case, this earthquake is just east of another fault, the Elsinore Fault. The Elsinore Fault extends from over in Orange County all the way into San Diego County. We often see earthquakes here. Earthquakes at Palomar Mountain are not necessarily foreign. These are earthquakes that hit all the time. And again, this microquake that hit at Palomar Mountain is something that we should not just ignore, but it's a microquake. No big deal. It didn't cause any damage. There's no way a microquake can do that. But if we get swarms here at Palomar Mountain, and we've had a few, nothing usually happens at Palomar Mountain, except scientists and campers and people that like to go above the city lights, go up here to Palomar Mountain to observe things through the telescope. Palomar Mountain is the location of one of the world's finest telescopes, and they have a visitor center there. You can also go up to the telescope area itself, and if scientists feel inclined and they have time for research, then they might even let you into the catbird seat so that lets you peer through the Palomar telescope. It's a great thing. Earthquakes in this area of San Diego County over in the Imperial Valley area. Okay? Again, USGS is not talking about everything there. Another earthquake over on the San Jacinto Fault in Calamasa, California. Calamasa, California is more than anything an RV resort area. They have a really nice restaurant there and campers there and RVs all the time. This is a 1.5 tremor here, nothing to be too concerned about here. Once we go east, however, east past the San Andreas Fault, we have another 1.2 earthquake near Big Bear Lake. Big Bear Lake is a volcano. A lot of people don't even understand that. Big Bear is a volcano. Big Bear Lake sits right next to the volcano. Further north and west from there, also on the San Jacinto Fault, is Muscoa, California, where today we have a 1.3 tremor there. We go further west over to Ontario, California, San Bernardino County. Ontario County, we've had numerous earthquakes here. Today it's a 2.0 magnitude quake. However, this is not the only earthquake that's in this area. There are numerous earthquakes and tremors, although USGS is not saying a word about them. We've gone and looked at the seismograms throughout Orange County and Los Angeles County, and there's numerous earthquakes and tremors all over the area. There normally are, but again, you're not going to find them publicized on the USGS map. Just not done. They don't want to be honest with us. They've never been honest with us. Further north and west, over in Granada Hills, California, and Los Angeles. Granada Hills had a 1.0 tremor today. We go north, over to Ridgecrest in that area, Little Lake, California. They've had numerous swarms of minor earthquakes and tremors all day long. That's kind of normal anymore, at least. North of there in Porterville, California, we have a minor 2.4 earthquake there. That's not entirely unusual either. That is a volcanic field. We go west over to the San Andreas Fault again. Parkfield, California. Parkfield, California is the earthquake capital of California. Here in Parkfield today, we have a 0.6 tremor and a 0.7 tremor. Those are called microquakes. Nothing to be too concerned about except the idea that these earthquakes are in the area where it's earthquake capital of California. Folks, in Parkfield, California, and I think once we get our new computer here, I'm going to show you pictures of Parkfield. Parkfield, California has a right to be claimed as the earthquake capital of California. They've actually had to divert roads because of earthquakes there. The San Andreas Fault cuts through Parkfield, California like a knife. Earthquakes all the time there, whether USGS wants to admit it or not. A ton of earthquakes there every year. Also, west of there, San Simeon, California, a 1.8 tremor there. San Simeon, California has all kinds of tremors there. They don't report them very often. Occasionally, we've even had 3 years ago a 5.0 earthquake in San Simeon, California. This is a town, a very expensive, very rich town, a rich heritage as well in California, but it's also home to large earthquakes. Okay, it's right along the coast of California there. Again, we go north along the San Andreas Fault. There are numerous tremors and microquakes over in the Pinnacles area. The Pinnacles is south of Monterey Bay, California, on the San Andreas Fault. The Pinnacles are an area just not of earthquakes on the fault, but the Pinnacles also are responsible for oil and gas platforms. That is one reason why we have earthquakes in the Pinnacles area along the San Andreas Fault. Faults are a great resource for oil and gas. That's typical. Where you see oil and gas along a fault, you can always have earthquakes, always, especially on the San Andreas Fault. North of there, we have another earthquake. Okay, several earthquakes. We go north to Tres Pinos, Ridgemark, California area, a 1.6 tremor there. We go north of from Monterey Bay, northeast from Monterey Bay, Corralitos, California, a 2.7 magnitude earthquake. This is also on the San Andreas Fault. We have not had earthquakes here at Carlitos before. This is a new one. This is a minor 2.7 earthquake in Carlitos, California. It's right on top of the San Andreas Fault. We go north from there. Day Valley, California. Again, we don't have earthquakes there. This is the first time I reported on an earthquake over in Day Valley, California. It's a 1.0 tremor. Again, we go north on the San Andreas Fault. This time to Saratoga, California, a 1.7 tremor there. Then we go north over into the San Francisco Bay Area, this time on the Hayward Fault. The Hayward, the San Andreas, and the, what's it called? The Calabre. Oh man, now I can't remember what fault it is. It is the, oh gosh. My brain had a past gas episode just now. I can't remember what this fault is. Anyway, it's just east of the Hayward Fault. The three faults, the San Andreas, the Hayward, and this other fault to the east are the three most dangerous faults in San Francisco Bay Area. To have an earthquake over on the Hayward Fault is not good, okay? It's just not good. This is over on the north side of the San Francisco Bay Area. This is in San Pablo, California. We've had numerous earthquakes in this area. This is a 2.0 earthquake there. We go north. 100 miles north of San Francisco Bay is a huge geothermal plant. The geothermal plant provides power to hundreds of thousands of homes in California and various areas around California. One of the places it provides power to is Rocky Mountain Power in Utah. Here in the Sonoma Valley area, we have numerous earthquakes here in the geysers area. Today we have over 40 earthquakes and tremors throughout this Sonoma County area. This is a geothermal system. The men and women who created this geothermal plant drilled into the volcano just north of there. It's called the Clear Lake volcano. They drilled into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to obtain steam to power turbines over in the geysers area to provide power to Pacific Gas and Electric and two other energy conglomerates, as well as Rocky Mountain Power. This power plant has also sparked fires in Sonoma County, California in the past. They know that. But today, 40 earthquakes there. 40 earthquakes here, okay? The largest being a 1.6 tremor that just hit. Also a 0.6 microquake. But 40 earthquake tremors and microquakes hit over here in the geysers facility today. That's wild. That's wild. That's one of the largest total number of earthquakes I've seen over there in the geysers area. We go north. The San Andreas Fault runs north from there, and it goes off of the Northern California coast. It meets up with two other faults, the Gorda Escarpment and the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Cascadia Subduction Zone reaches from this triple junction there, the triple junction of these three earthquake faults. It reaches north over into British Columbia, Canada, just off the coast of Queen Charlotte Island. Today we have no reported quakes. It does not mean that there are no quakes there. There probably are. But again, the United States Geological Survey is not showing any there in the Cascadia Subduction Zone today. Going north from the San Andreas Fault here in Northern California, we have a 1.6 tremor here. This 1.6 tremor is in Rio Dell, California. Rio Dell is one of the places that got hit last year when we had a 7.5 magnitude earthquake. USGS said it was a 6.4 off the coast. It turned out to be at least a 7.5 earthquake. Rio Dell is one of the small communities that got hit with multiple quakes there. Today, a 1.7 tremor hit in Rio Dell, California. This is an aftershock of that 7.4 earthquake that hit last year. We go north. We leave the San Andreas alone. We go north into Washington State. Today in Washington State, over near Coupleson, Washington, we have another 1.3 tremor there. This is not a place that hasn't seen quakes before. They've seen numerous quakes here before. But folks, this is not an earthquake. They're calling it an explosion. There are no quarries anywhere around it. It looks to be an area where it's in a bunch of trees. It's a forested area. Unless the men and women of Washington State are harvesting trees in this area, it is not an explosion. This is a 1.7 tremor here in Coupleson, Washington. Regardless of what they say, USGS says this is not an explosion. I want to make that point perfectly clear. This is a half-mile deep, but it's not in a quarry, nowhere near a quarry today. This is an earthquake, okay? I want to make it perfectly clear. This is northwest of Mount Rainier. This is a 1.7 quake. Northwest of Mount Rainier, this could very well be where magma underneath the ground here, underneath the surface, is pumping magma over to Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier has numerous earthquakes and tremors that are all over the place, as well as microquakes. Mount Rainier is a very active volcano. To the north of there, northeast of there, to Granite, Washington. Granite Falls, Washington, we have another 1.2 explosion allegedly, okay? This is a quarter of a mile deep in Granite Falls, Washington today. Folks, there's nothing new here. There's literally nothing new. However, this quake is just south of a quarry. This could be quarry related. Okay? This is the exception here. Usually when USGS says there's a tremor, it's nowhere near a quarry. It's not a quarry blast, but just a tremor. This is a quarry blast, I believe. Okay? Now, a lot of people have written me quite a few emails, and you're concerned about earthquakes over in northern Idaho, north central Idaho. Again, today, there's been a 3.2 earthquake near Smiths Ferry, Smithsburg, Idaho. This is north central Idaho. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, there are 5 felt reports. I went over the European agency. There are no felt reports at all. Smithsburg is an agricultural area. It's also in a fault zone. I do not believe this is anything but an earthquake. It's in a fault zone. To the east here, we have the Yellowstone magma chamber, but that's to the east. The west side of the Yellowstone magma chamber is Challis, Idaho. This earthquake is probably 100 miles west of Challis. Again, I don't believe this is anything related to the volcano. I want to assure people everywhere. Right now, the Yellowstone volcano is nowhere near ready to erupt. Not going to happen. It's just honestly not going to happen. We do have some microquakes over near Yellowstone, okay? Just north of Yellowstone Lake, 47 kilometers southeast of Mammoth, Idaho. Mammoth, Wyoming, I should say, not Idaho. Mammoth, Wyoming. Mammoth, Wyoming is also a geyser area, but this is not there. This is just over, I want to say probably, what should I say? 8 miles north of Yellowstone Lake. This is in the Yellowstone magma chamber. Okay. This earthquake is 2.5 kilometers deep. That's 1 mile deep. Okay. It's in the Yellowstone magma chamber. Northwest from there, there's another 1.0 tremor up near Mammoth, Washington, or Mammoth, Wyoming. Again, Mammoth is the geysers area, the Mammoth Geyser Basin. It's not unusual to have earthquakes and tremors around the geyser basin. This particular seismic event is 6 kilometers deep. Not a big deal. Okay? But Yellowstone is not ready to erupt. If Yellowstone were ready to erupt, ladies and gentlemen, we'd see 4.5s, 2.8s, 3.0s, 3.8, 3.9s, 4.5s, 4.8, 4.9, even 5.0s. But let me assure you, we have had earthquakes here in the Yellowstone region. In the Yellowstone region, there is a lake northwest of Yellowstone, Hebgen Lake. In 1959, the Hebgen Lake area had a 7.1 earthquake. Scientists say that unreinforced masonry fell. School buildings all over Wyoming and Montana fell. Fireplace chimneys fell. That wouldn't be unusual with this size earthquake. Now scientists are saying it might have been an 8.0 major earthquake. Okay? Not just a 5.9. Okay? This was a decent earthquake. I shouldn't say 5.9, I'm sorry, 7.1. A 7.1 earthquake here at Hebgen Lake, which is northwest of Yellowstone. The earthquake was not affected by the volcano. It had nothing to do with the volcano. If it did, the volcano would have erupted. That's not the case. I want to make sure everybody realizes that. It does not mean we might have another 5.0 that could ignite the Yellowstone volcano. That is a possibility. But right now, it's not even in the offering right now. It's not going to happen for a while. Scientists themselves are saying about 1,000, 2,000 years from now. I don't think it'll be that long, but it's going to be a while. So those of you concerned about Yellowstone should not even be concerned about it. It's not a big deal at this point. Okay? So let's go north. Alaska. Right now, Alaska has about 60 earthquakes. Most of those earthquakes are around the south central area of Yellowstone, or of Alaska. Most of those earthquakes are north of Anchorage. Most of them are nothing more than a 1.05 to 1.8 magnitude tremor. There's no real big, huge earthquakes here in Alaska today. We do have one earthquake that just happened. This was a 2.5 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. 2.0, 2.9 are considered to be minor earthquakes. This one was 27 kilometers southeast of Chickalloon, Alaska. Okay? Just a 2.5 magnitude minor earthquake. Okay? We had a few earthquakes around Denali National Park. Nothing big, nothing outstanding. In northern Denali National Park, a 2.1 earthquake there. Northwest, actually, that's not right, northeast of Mount McKinley here, we had a 2.4 magnitude earthquake there in Denali National Park. Just north and west of Denali here, we also had a 2.1 earthquake there, minor earthquake. South of Denali, we had another 2.5 minor earthquake, I should say. 2.0, 2.9 are considered to be minor earthquakes. Other than that, nothing big. The earthquakes and tremors around Mount Redoubt have ceased for right now. South of there, over by Mount Old Ililama volcano, this is different. Okay? Just south of Old Ililama, a 2.6 earthquake. Just south of there, a 2.5. Nothing big to know about there. We go down into the Aleutian Island Fault Zone, the southern Alaska Peninsula. We have a 2.5 magnitude earthquake near Chignik Lagoon, Alaska. Okay? Out in the Gulf of Alaska, just southeast of there, we have a 3.3 earthquake. Okay? Going out into the Aleutian Islands near Dutch Harbor, Alaska, we have a 2.2. Nothing more than that in the Aleutian Island chain. USGS is not showing another earthquake I'm going to tell you about. It's over on the south, not south, but over on the east side of the Kamchatka Peninsula. Today, a 4.5 earthquake hit there. USGS is not showing that earthquake. We go south into Japan. Honshu, Japan. North Honshu, Japan. Folks, we've had a 4.1 moderate earthquake. This earthquake was 148 kilometers deep. Not really deep, but moderately deep. Okay? South of there, off the east coast of Japan, off the coast of Honshu. We had a 4.5 earthquake there. Now, there was also another earthquake off of in Honshu today, near Tokyo. That earthquake was a 2.5 earthquake. USGS is not showing it. It was just barely north of Tokyo. It's in a very occupied area of Japan. but it was just a minor earthquake there. The larger earthquake hit offshore from Honshu, offshore just southeast of southeast of Tokyo. Way southeast of there. This is in the Izu Island region of Japan. Another 4.7 earthquake hit there. In southern Japan, again, USGS is not showing it. We had another 4.0 there in southern Japan. It's uncanny when these earthquakes hit. And USGS does not talk about it. Over in the Sea of Japan, the Noto Peninsula, the same Noto Peninsula that was hit by a 8.4 earthquake just 2 months ago, killed several hundred people and injured hundreds more. Over there we have 5 earthquakes. Every one of those are minor earthquakes, 2.0 to 2.9, except for one. That one is a 1.7 tremor. So we had 1 tremor and 4 minor earthquakes there over on the Noto Peninsula. Aftershocks of the huge earthquake just off the coast of Noto Peninsula 2 months ago. Okay? Then we go south. Today, over in the Philippines, we have earthquakes. USGS is not talking about much of anything. North of the main island of the Philippines, Mindanao, Philippines, we've had many earthquakes. Most of those were 2s, 3s, and 4s in the central Philippines. We come over to the northeast side of Mindanao, Philippines, where we had a 4.7, 4.8 earthquake, 4.5, 3.5, 3.7, 3.8 earthquakes just off the coast of Mindanao, Philippines. All of these earthquakes are aftershocks of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that hit here about 3 months ago. USGS is again not showing any of those earthquakes. There are also earthquakes in northern Indonesia. None of those earthquakes are being shown by the USGS. None. It's a sad day when they don't show anything over there. They're showing 1 earthquake near Timor-Leste, Indonesia. There are about 28 earthquakes in Indonesia today. USGS showing 1. There are earthquakes over on the far western side of Java, Indonesia. We had 3 4.5s, 3.5, and a 5. That 5.0 was over on the eastern side of Java. Okay, it was a 5.4 earthquake. But again, USGS is not showing anything there. Why are they not showing that large earthquake? Everybody wants to know. I'm sorry, they did. I'm sorry, it was a 5.3, 5.4 earthquake, Timor-Leste. But why are they not showing the other 25, 28 earthquakes? Inquiring minds want to know. We go down into Australia. Northern Australia, we had a 4.5 earthquake today. USGS is not showing that earthquake either. In southeastern Australia, we had a 2.7 earthquake. They're not showing that either. North of there, over in Papua New Guinea, large 5.0 earthquake hit in southern Papua New Guinea today. This is 96 kilometers south-southeast of Ponda Letta, Papua New Guinea. For all intents and purposes, I want to emphasize this. For all intents and purposes, guys, this is not a big earthquake, okay? A 5.0 earthquake. There are no villages anywhere near it, okay? This is an unpopulated area in the mountains of Papua New Guinea. A 5.0 earthquake hit there. Northeast of there, also in Papua New Guinea, 100 kilometers southeast of Kokopo, Papua New Guinea. We had another 5.0. It was out here in the open ocean here. Nobody felt this earthquake either. The ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this earthquake. Okay? Nothing to be too concerned about that. Nobody felt that earthquake either. We go further east. We go over into the Solomon Islands this time. This one is near Kirakira, Solomon Islands. This is another 5.0 earthquake today. Okay? This is just on the outskirts. Okay? On the outskirts of central Kirakira, Solomon Islands. This is on land, okay? I don't see any housing developments anywhere near this earthquake. None. The closest one is several hundred miles to the southwest. Not a big deal. Not too much of a big deal. Yes, there are some homes probably 200 miles south of there. But I don't feel like anybody felt that quake over there. If they did, it was just minor tremors. Okay? So that's in the Solomon Islands, Kirakira, Solomon Islands. The USGS is not showing any earthquakes in Fiji or Tonga. There was, I should say, a 4.5 in Fiji, south of Fiji today. There are earthquakes over in New Zealand, although USGS is not showing any of them. Those are 2s and 3s in New Zealand. Nothing to be too concerned about right now. We go over to South America. We go east to South America. There are plenty of earthquakes in South America. All of those earthquakes are on the coast, the west coast of South America. Chile, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. A total of 28 earthquakes in South America today. Every one of those earthquakes are 2s, 3s, and 4s. In northern Chile, they're 4.0, 4.4, 4.5 earthquakes. Going up into Peru, a 4.5 earthquake in southern Peru. We go over into Colombia, northern Colombia. We have 2 earthquakes, a 2.5 and a 2.8 earthquake in northern Colombia. We also have another earthquake. This is a 4.0 off the coast of Venezuela, the northern coast of Venezuela today. USGS is not talking about that either. There are 7 earthquakes over in Central America. 7 earthquakes in Central America. 5 of those are in Costa Rica. They are all 3.4, 3.5, and 3.7 earthquakes. We go north from there. We have 1 earthquake in Nicaragua. That is also a 4.0 earthquake. We go over into southern Mexico. We have 29 earthquakes in southern Mexico. 29 earthquakes. None of them are even being shown by United States Geological Survey. So just stopping here for just a minute. Already we've talked about several hundred earthquakes, and yet USGS is only showing 245 worldwide. Several hundred earthquakes that they have not even shown on the map. That's trash. That's nothing more than trash to them. They don't care. It's obvious to me they don't give a flying rat's frosty keister. It's sad. It's very, very, very sad. Okay? USGS is showing 1 earthquake. Jeez. 1 lousy 4.5 earthquake in northwestern Turkey. It's really something. Folks, we go over to northeastern Turkey. There are 60 earthquakes in the area of Syria and Turkey in that region. Every one of those earthquakes are aftershocks of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake just hit here last year. The area is getting annihilated with minor tremors and earthquakes. Incredible. USGS shows none. They show one earthquake in northwestern Turkey. There are a bunch in all over central Turkey and western Turkey, and yet they show none. Off the coast, off the west coast of Turkey, in the Dulkeniz Islands, we have 4 or 5 earthquakes there. Those Dulkeniz Islands belong to Greece. South of there, off the coast of Crete, to the north of Crete, we have several minor earthquakes there. Going over into Greece, USGS is showing no earthquakes there. There are about 30 earthquakes in Greece alone. None of them near Athens. Most in central Greece, along the coastline, both east and west side of Greece, and going up into northern Greece. There is a 1.0 tremor near Patras, near the Aegean Sea. There are many earthquakes in that region there. Going over north, there's earthquakes in Algeria. Unreal. USGS shows none there. There is one earthquake in Sicily. There's 2 earthquakes in southern Italy. There are 20 earthquakes over in central Italy. Every one of those earthquakes in central Italy are 1.0, 1.2, and 2.8 earthquakes near Umbria, Italy, central Italy today. Incredible. Over in the Alps, the Italian Alps, we have a 2.03, 2.0, 2.3 earthquake over in the northwestern Alps of Italy. Going to the north side of there, over in France, we've had 2.4 and 2.7 earthquakes there. To the north of France, just across in the English, just on the east side of the English Channel in France, several minor earthquakes hit there as well. 2 earthquakes in southern Spain. Incredible. USGS not even talking about those either. Over around Portugal, just off the southwest coast of Portugal, we have 2 minor earthquakes there. Just over west of the Strait of Gibraltar. Incredible. We have 3 earthquakes near, they're in the Canary Islands, okay? One is near the, I can't remember the name of the island now over in the Canary Islands. It's where Tenerife. It's over near Tenerife. 3 earthquakes around there today. Those are just minor earthquakes there. We go over into Iceland. We have 1 earthquake in Iceland today. Actually 2 of them. One is on the Reykjanes Peninsula. This earthquake is north of Grindavik. We told you about Grindavik, Alaska, way back in November, around November 7th last year. They just barely evacuated Grindavik in time because they thought there was going to be a huge volcanic blast in Grindavik. There wasn't. However, they got a bunch of earthquakes in Grindavik. They had huge fissures open up in Grindavik. They still have not repaired all the fissures that open up after November 7th. Earthquakes continue there. North of Grindavik, there's a geothermal power plant near Svartsenga. The Svartsenga power plant is a geothermal power plant where they drilled into the magma chambers of the volcano there to obtain steam to generate electricity and also take the hot water in the ground system and distribute it all over Iceland. Right now, beneath the Svartsenga power plant, we have a huge magma reservoir. And that magma reservoir is inching the Svartsenga power plant higher. It's now reached probably 8 millimeters higher than it was just 2 months ago. We have had earthquakes, and we've also had volcanic eruptions south and north of Svartsenga power plant. We've talked about that. We've covered it. But right now, there's a huge magma reservoir that keeps inching up Svartsenga. We told you about the latest volcanic eruption that was northeast of Svartsenga. We told you that they were building a dike, or not a dike, but an earthen fence or earthen area there around Grindavik to protect it from the magma if it happened. Magma got very close and went into northern Grindavik. It stalled out. We don't believe Grindavik will be threatened. However, there is a possibility of that. But right now, scientists are saying that the Svartsenga power plant could suffer a volcanic eruption there. They're very concerned about it because the Svartsenga power plant is the main power plant for all of Iceland. So if there was to be a volcanic eruption, it would be very deadly to the people of Iceland. It would cut off their hot water. It would cut off their electricity. There's only one other geothermal power plant in all of Iceland. And I don't believe that power plant can handle powering the entire nation of Iceland. Now, I said yesterday that the earthquakes have been all over Iceland. Some of those are responsible for that great big huge earthquake fault that cuts Iceland in half. The earthquake fault enters the Reykjanes Peninsula, then it goes all the way to Iceland. The huge mid-Atlantic fault is tearing Iceland in half. The mid-Atlantic fault is expanding. That's one of the reasons we've had fissures all over Iceland, is the mid-Atlantic fault is expanding. We talked about the mid-Atlantic fault pushing the North American continent, the US and Canada, to a southwesterly direction. It's pushing Europe in an easterly direction. But up here, it's cutting Iceland in half. Scientists are also very disturbed about that, wondering what's going to happen there. We don't know. Nobody knows. But right now, all eyes are on southern Iceland. They fully expect a volcanic eruption at any time, literally. Most people will not get any more than 30 minutes notice. Right now, the only people that are over in the area of the Svartsenga power plant are probably supervisors. They would have no more probably than a 30-minute warning to get out of there, if at best, if something were to happen there. Scientists are heavily monitoring Iceland right now, and they should. Does anybody have any questions about earthquakes or anything else going on seismically? Okay, I'd be happy to take some questions now about seismic activity. Yeah, NCWQ Worldwide News and Explorer said Iceland is green and Greenland is ice. Iceland has also got a lot of ice as well. They have numerous glaciers there. They got a lot of snow in the past couple months. Okay. There was also a question last night after I got off the program. Somebody left a question in our comments section, which is a great thing. Do not feel that you have to put any questions or comments But I love those questions and comments that you put in our comments section under our video after we've gotten off the air. Someone last night was wondering about a volcano, or not a volcano, I'm sorry, a lake over in near Nashville, Tennessee. That lake is very dangerous, okay? I believe it's like 10 miles or approximately 18 kilometers east of Nashville. The water level is very low. There is talk, or there has been talk over there in that area of it being very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. With the water level as low as it is, anybody that's over there boating must pay close attention to the water level. That's number one. Number two, in that particular area, there are also snakes. Snakes live in water as well. Snakes live on the land there around the lake as well. Now, this lake was made by the Army Corps of Engineers 60 years ago, something like that. It's not a natural reservoir. However, it is a big deal. With water levels that low, anything could happen. All I'm saying, folks, if you are there around that lake, you already know what's happening, okay? Stay out of the water. I spoke to a lifeguard over there. The lifeguard basically told me the same thing. Unless you are a very experienced swimmer, and even then, you need to buddy up with someone else. Do not go swimming in that lake unless there's somebody with you. And don't go out very far. There are undercurrents in that reservoir. One side of the reservoir is a dam. You don't want to get any closer to the dam than you absolutely have to. That dam also releases water. You could be put in an undertow from the dam releasing water, and it could end your life. Don't do it. Stay out of that water swimming-wise unless you're with an extremely experienced swimmer, or you're an extremely experienced swimmer, but don't go in there alone. Boaters, there's really no boaters out there to speak up from what I understand because the water is so low. Folks, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I don't know why they're not releasing more water into the reservoir now, but it's beyond our control. I put a call in to the Army Corps of Engineers there in Nashville, and I did not get a reply out. I left a message. But folks, if you see a water level low in a reservoir, stay out of it. It's not worth risking your life in boats or swimming. It's not worth it. Nathan is asking me which lake it is. I don't remember. And my computer, the computer that I've been using just died on me again, okay? Which is kind of normal anymore. I don't know why it died, but it did. But I had the information right up in front of me, and all of a sudden it went away. And it seems like it's not coming back, okay? Richard Smith over in Nova Scotia, Canada says he swims like a rock. I tend to be that way as well. Wilson says, is it toxic? It is somewhat toxic as well, okay? I'll be honest with you, it's somewhat toxic. I would not go swimming there unless you have to. Okay? Just be very careful. Is there any other questions about seismic events or anything like that? Nathan Hester says he used to live up around a defecated creek north of Carthage, south of Red Boiling Springs, Kentucky, or Tennessee. Yeah, I know where that is. I've seen pictures of that area, and you guys got floods about a year or so ago there. I covered those floods. Anyway, guys, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going in to talk about the President of the United States and what's happening. I'm going to talk a little bit about President Trump as well. Today, President Biden asked Congress for a bill to help him control the border. Apparently this week, I believe on Thursday, he's going down to the border, which will be his second trip. By all accounts, I expect to see no migrants at all wherever he goes in Texas, because the press and his event team will go there before Biden arrives and make sure there's no migrants to be seen. They'll cleanse it up for a photo opportunity with the president. Nobody will be there. That's almost guaranteed to happen. As you know, there are thousands upon thousands of migrants going across the U.S.-Mexican border in Texas, and even in Arizona and California. It's happening. They can deny it happens as much as they want, but it's happening. Biden is asking for help from Congress to stop the onslaught of illegal migrants at the border. The president has the power in his little finger. All he has to do is with these pens saying, close the border. With his pen, he could go and close the border today if he wanted to by executive order. President Biden does not want that. He doesn't want that. Even if Congress gave him a law to close the border, I don't think he would do it. The President of the United States has final say of what goes on that border. He opened it up. President Biden told DHS and also the organization underneath DHS, which is Customs Border Protection and the Border Patrol. He told them to let those migrants go. Process them and let them go. That's what they've been doing. The only government agency that's lifted a hand to stop the onslaught of illegals into Texas is Governor Abbott and the Texas National Guard. The Texas National Guard have established a base right on the southern border with Mexico, a complete military base that will house military members and also provide security for the border. The Missouri governor established precedent of sending hundreds more National Guard troops and many, many members of his own Missouri State Highway Patrol over to Texas to assist the Texas Department of Public Safety in helping secure the border. No one else is lifting a hand. There are 25 other governors that have offered National Guard troops and law enforcement officers to go to Texas. The law enforcement officers from other states that have come into Texas went there as volunteers. They volunteered to go there. They will be paid for the time that they're in Texas, helping defend the border. Biden doesn't want to do that. Biden has no intention of stopping anything from happening. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. NCWQ is also saying we have another 3.7 earthquake in the region off the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand. That doesn't surprise me either. That area is a hotbed for earthquakes. The entire region of New Zealand, both South and North Islands, have probably 30 or 40 earthquakes there today. Most of those earthquakes are minor tremors, 1.7, 1.8 tremors, 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes, as well as 3.0 earthquakes on the North Island. That's kind of typical for New Zealand. They have about 35 earthquakes there in New Zealand today. USGS shows none at all. It wouldn't be surprising that 3.7 just off the coast, west coast of New Zealand, South Island, New Zealand, will not even be shown on the earthquake page. USGS doesn't really give a darn. Don Patuka says, if yesterday was prepared for today, it will determine how well you endure tomorrow. And Don's right. If we don't prepare today, tomorrow is going to be more hectic and stupid and will become out of control. Wilson is saying, but they are the ones who need to worry. I agree. You're absolutely right. Those people that don't prepare are the ones to worry. And we've been talking about emergency preparedness on this channel for a long time. Even last Friday, we talked about emergency preparedness quite a bit. Probably 50% of our program was about emergency preparedness, and it always will be on Fridays. But is anybody listening? Is anybody sharing the program? Is anybody letting the rest of their family, their friends, their neighbors, social media contacts, and the people they work with, are they telling them about this program? Probably not. I don't think hardly anybody's preparing, even in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Those are the people who should be preparing the most, because the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to happen. And it's likely to happen very soon. That's going to be a 10.0 earthquake, if I hadn't already said that today. Most of you that have been on this channel know what I've been talking about. The earthquake that's going to hit the Pacific Northwest is going to be felt all the way from Alaska, all the way down to the Mexican border, and across the entire North American continent, Canada and the United States. It's going to be felt big time. And people are going to die. People are going to get hurt. Damage is going to be in the billions and billions of dollars. Is anybody preparing? I kind of doubt it. Most people are saying it's not going to happen to me, but it will. It's going to happen to everybody. A lot of people are going to ask themselves, why didn't I listen to Ron? Ron warned me. Why didn't Ron give us food and equipment? I don't have the money. I wish I did. I give you the shirt off my back. But you need to be preparing. We talked about it. I've given you so much information, so many ideas on what you need to be doing. If you haven't already looked at other programs here on our program lineup here, we've been doing this program now on this channel, on this particular channel, for almost a year now, not quite a year. I have 280 plus programs here, 280 videos here. I want to say a third of those are related to emergency preparedness. I've given you the information. I'm only hoping and praying that you're reacting to it and doing something about it. I want you to survive what's happening. I really do. I want everybody to survive what's going to happen. We see all kinds of pestilence going on. We see all kinds of people hurting. And that's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Linda Covington is here in the chat saying, East Coast people don't underestimate Putin. And I'm going to say everybody in the United States and Canada and all over the world, you better not underestimate Putin. Putin has missiles that probably say U.S. all over them. Missile strikes. It's going to happen. Someone in the chat here and just asked us, is heterochromie dangerous? I don't even know what that is. I have no idea what that is. Never heard of it before. If you want to tell me what it is, maybe I can answer that question. Sorry, I had something in my eye. Still do, I think. I got it out now. Wilson said, spread this channel. The man here knows what he's talking about. I think I do. I've been talking about emergency preparedness for most of my life now. I've done speeches in 39 states. I've done disaster drills all around this country. I do know what I'm talking about. And I'm not just book learned. I've been here talking about emergency preparedness for a reason. I've been living it, not just book learning it. Okay? You can be book learned and that's fine. But unless you take action, it's over. It's over. Elaine is asking what's going on. We talked about earthquakes over on the first part of our program. You can go back to, after we get off the air, you can go back to the first part of our program and listen to what we talked about. I'm specifically talking now about what's going on with our country and our planet. Okay? We talked about Biden. Okay? We talked about him not really doing anything about this country, about the migration problem. He's probably not going to do it. Okay? Probably not going to do it. He wants the migrants in so they'll vote for him. Right now, Biden's losing in all of the, all over the country. In most of the states that are give and take, whether they're going to go for Republican or Democrat, Biden's still losing in those states. He's losing all over the country. The only states he's probably winning is New York and California, the sanctuary states. Sad. Hi, Marvin. Appreciate you being here. Now, you need to be very careful, political-wise. You need to study the issues. You need to be very careful. Things are happening literally all over this country and all over the world. The United States is a breadbasket of the world. Farmers and ranchers have been bought out here in this country. There's going to be a famine here. The famine is going to spread around the world. If the United States does not have food for its citizens, they're certainly not going to export any outside the country, which means there's going to be a famine around the world. Yes, there are places in Europe that manufacture food, that grow food. But even the European farmers and ranchers are not growing food like they used to. They're protesting their governments. The governments that are putting the kibosh are putting a thumb on them. And that's good. I have no problem with the farmers and ranchers rebelling, but everyone still needs food. What happened in New York against President Trump is unheard of. It's all political, trying to keep him from being reelected. But now New York's being affected as well. There's a trucker strike against the city of New York. The truckers are refusing to go into New York, especially unless they're paid a boatload of money. And only then will they even approach the city of New York. Nobody wants to go in there. It's a lawless city. The migrants have raised up and said, we're protesting New York. They're beating up cops. They're hurting and killing the residents of New York. They're hurting and killing each other. New York is a lawless city. Who would want to go in there to deliver foods and goods and everything to any of the city? Nobody wants to go and face the migrants there and what's happening. Nobody. City of New York is going to fall on its face. Okay? They're going to fall on their freaking face. All because of politics with the Biden administration. Buying out the Attorney General in New York. Buying her out. She ran on the platform of going after President Trump. And that's what she's done. Because of her actions. Because of the actions of an out-of-control district and state attorney general. New Yorkers are suffering. Now because of the rulings of Judge Engeron. He's in trouble too. You don't take on the former president of the United States and take everything he's earned. You just don't do that. He's done it illegally. And now the Attorney General of New York is saying, we're going to take everything he owns. If he can't pay it up front, we're going to put liens against his building and take his buildings away from him. Really? I believe President Trump could sell 1 or 2 buildings and come up with the money to pay the city of New York whatever they want. But now it's on appeal. And the Attorney General of New York and the district attorney want to go after President Trump anyway. President Trump's appealed it, but they don't want to wait for the appeal. They want to take the money from President Trump anyway. They say they're going to hold it in a special fund. And if President Trump wins on his appeal, that they'll give his money back. Really? You think those greedy snakes will give his money back? Probably not likely. What they've done is purely political. George Soros. Remember George Soros? We've talked for hours about him over the past 5 years. George Soros has bought out the Attorney General of New York, paid for their election. He's paid for five state attorney generals around the United States, purely to go after President Trump. Unreal. Unreal. You folks that have had your messages deleted by one of my mods, we have standards here on Emergency Management Associates. Don't break our rules. Number 1, you don't put anything in capital letters. YouTube takes that as yelling, and YouTube doesn't like that. They'll take and shut my channel down. Number 2, I should say. Don't use foul language. That'll get you booted out of here. Number 3, don't ever put up some other media site on the chat. Don't do it. You'll immediately get it taken down. You'll be put in timeout. Be very careful what you do here. If you malign one of my mods or anybody else on this chat, you'll be booted. If you malign me, you'll be booted. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. If you're good here, we welcome you. We want you to stay. But if you start doing things, you'll get booted for it. Okay? Now, Don Patoka also said here, and he's one of my mods, okay? I respect him. He's one of my best friends. He says, prepare for the worst and live to the best. Folks who never fought a war have little clue what they fought the war for. They don't know what war is or what they wish for. Yes, I have kicked the tires and approved this message. I approve it as well. Okay? You need to be prepared. What's going on is real. If you're not prepared, you're going to get rolled over by the political end of the Democrat Communist Party, and you're going to die. I don't wish that on anybody, not even my worst enemy. Kylie says, I got bullied today. I don't know how you got bullied. Trolls, yes, trolls. Okay, guys, do you have any questions for me? Elena, I'm sorry you have to go. Have a good night. Please come back and see us, okay? We appreciate you being here. Yes, we'll be live again tomorrow. We always do Monday through Friday here. Okay? Monday through Friday, we're here. Any other questions, guys? Diane Kelman is asking, do you have a timeline for the food storage? That's up to you, the food you buy. Look on the dates of your packages and your cans. Usually canned goods are good for a year or two, sometimes less. Packaged food sometimes has a best buy date on it of maybe 6 months to a year. I tend to buy survival food as well. If I buy packaged or canned food, I put it in a food rotation basis. I keep the older food forward so I can grab it and eat it or process it myself. The newer stock I put in back of the cans and packaged food that I have. That way I'm always using good food. I rotate my food through a rotation basis. I check cans and package stuff dates always. I also have survival food. Some of you have not gotten survival food. I was fortunate enough at one time to have some survival food money, and I spent it on that. Maui saying, give me a shout out. I just did. Kylie says, I hope you have a great day, everyone. And we say that all the time for all of you too. Wilson's saying, oh, what about the 7 planets aligning? That's next month. Effect on earthquakes, yes. Let me tell you about planetary alignments. At the time of the eclipse, I read the article the other day. At the time of eclipse, right before the eclipse, we're going to have 7 planets in alignment. The 7 planets in alignment can have an effect on the Earth. The Earth is not in the alignment itself, but 7 other planets are. Those 7 planets, when there becomes an alignment like this, all that alignment tends to congregate electromagnetic energy. Planetary alignments cause electromagnetic energy. That electromagnetic energy goes through the magnetosphere that protects our planet and goes right through there into the Earth's atmosphere and right to the planetary surface of the Earth. It can cause earthquakes. Electromagnetic energy is radiation. It's radiation. I have explained this before. I'll explain it right now again. Either electromagnetic energy or plasma radiation from the sun. We had an X6.3 class flare last week, beginning last week. That plasma radiation from the sun or electromagnetic energy from the planetary alignments, it could be 2 or 3 planetary alignments, but it causes that electromagnetic radiation. It causes the plates to heat up. It causes the core of the Earth to heat up. When it causes the plates to heat up, the plates that go subducting under another plate, for example, the Pacific plate and the Farallon plate or the Juan de Fuca plate, subducting underneath the North American continent. Those plates subducting are taking a deep dive into the center of the Earth. All that gunk and grime that holds those plates together is heated up by that electromagnetic radiation, that plasma radiation from the sun. When it heats all that gunk and grime up, whether it be biological material, dirt, gravel, planetary material, whatever it is, it heats up. It turns into an oily and greasy type substance, allowing the plates to move more freely, thus causing earthquakes. That's what happens. Okay? Causing those plates to move more easily, which can cause earthquakes. It always does. Okay? That's why it's so important to understand what's going on. Don Patoka is here in the chat saying many government agencies, people are indemnified, held harmless. Most citizens cannot sue the federal government because that indemnification. Okay? You can't sue for issues regardless of the final outcome. Okay? Be astute and be prepared. Be discernible, and you're going to prevail. True. I can't sue the federal government for things that happen to me. My health, for example, may have been caused by my being and working for as a federal police officer for so many years. Things happen to me, but I can't go back and sue the government for it. Okay? Richard Malone is asking, is the United States of America safe? I have to say no. Safe is almost a rhetorical question anymore. It depends on where you're at and what you're doing. Okay? You can try to make yourself and your family safer. You need to fortify your own home, or you need to build a bunker in the ground in order to be safe. Okay? Anything could happen. Literally anything can happen. And it will. Is the United States of America safe? I say no. And I'm sorry to say that. The United States of America used to be one of the safest and most resilient countries in the world. It was a leader in the world. Not anymore. Not anymore. Wilson says, I am very gifted, appreciate your brain. I've just studied a lot. I've got a degree, but it doesn't matter what the degree is. I got a degree in geology a lot of years ago, but it doesn't matter. Every degree, so many years ago, it doesn't matter anymore. Science has changed. You have to keep up with the science like I have. The things I used to be taught no longer apply, or very little of it does apply now. It's incredible. It's incredible. You have to keep up with the science. I have. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you being here. I've been on here just under 2 hours now. Unless you have another question that you need to have answered right now, I'm going to get out of here. I just appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate your contributions. I appreciate everything that you do here. Any questions, guys? Richard saying, don't those planets align a lot? Yes, there are planetary alignments all the time. These planets are going to align are Neptune, Saturn. Right now, I can't even think of all the planets that are going to be aligning. There's 7 of them this time. Every month, there are several planetary alignments, even once a week. Sometimes very little at all. Okay, guys, as I've been doing for quite some time, I try to end this chat on a more spiritual note. Tonight, I'm going to read from a scripture here, and it should apply to all of us. And my soul hungered, and I kneeled down before my Maker, and I cried unto him in mighty prayer and supplication for mine own soul. And all day long did I cry unto him. Yea, and when the night came, I did still raise my voice high that reached the heavens. And there came a voice unto me, saying, Enos, thy sins are forgiven thee, and thou shalt be blessed. And I, Enos, knew that God could not lie, for my guilt was swept away. Folks, we've talked about this many times. Enos was a prophet, and he had sinned. And he kneeled down before the Lord in mighty prayer in order to obtain forgiveness for what he had done. If we try to change our lives, we too can be forgiven. But we need to kneel down before God and ask for forgiveness. That's what we need to do. And we can do that. We truly can do that, each and every one of us. Linda Covington has asked, have I got my eclipse glasses? No, I haven't. I'm not going to be even near the path of totality. So I'm not going to be watching the sun. I'll watch it on video, but I'm not going to be watching it personally. We had a total eclipse of the sun in 2017 back when I was in Salt Lake. I saw the total eclipse then. I told you guys about that the other night. Folks, we appreciate you being here. If you have cards or letters, please mail it to the post office box that Don Patoka just put up a little while ago, just a few minutes ago. P.O. Box 422, Valdese, North Carolina, Valdese, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. We appreciate that very much. You can also tuck donations into your letters or into your cards and send them to us. I love getting cards and letters, finding out for how you guys are doing and what you're doing. I love hearing those items that I love to have you address. That way I know you're working on what you're doing and what we're talking about. That's the whole purpose of this program, to help each other and to become prepared. So I love getting cards and letters like that. You can also help support this program by going to our PayPal links that are in the program description at the top of it, right below this program tonight. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. We love you very much. God be with you until we meet again. If anything else happens here tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Otherwise, we'll be on the air same time, same station tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, just after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you around the other side. Have a good night, everybody. I love you very much. See you soon. Good night.